Hi, I'm Kim Cross, your Crosstown Realtor. And if you're thinking about moving and thinking you might want to move to Simi Valley, California, I wanted to give you a few pros and cons when considering our big little city. Before I do that, I want to mention that I work with fabulous realtors all across the United States. So if you're looking for tips for other areas, please feel free to message me. I'll send you their info or their YouTube link. And if Simi Valley is one of your top choices, you can check out some of my other videos here about new businesses coming to Simi Valley, as well as some great existing businesses. And click subscribe to get updates on all things Simi Valley. And of course, if you like this video, thank you in advance for clicking on the thumbs up. Okay, so here I go with the pros and cons of living in Simi Valley, or I guess I should say the cons and pros, because I am going to start with the cons. If you know me at all, you know I can go on and on about how wonderful Simi Valley is, so you might find this a bit out of character for me. And I'll put an index below if you want to skip to the good stuff, but I'm going to use my daughter's philosophy of eating the frog, and I'll get the bad stuff out of the way first. Okay, so now some of my cons might be pros depending on where you're coming from. So number one, if you're coming from someplace rural, you might find that we have what you would consider small lot sizes. The average lot size is under 10,000 square feet. You can find some that are an acre or two, but that's not the norm. Now, if you're coming from other parts of California, that might be a pretty good lot size. So I realize it's all relative, but that is something that out-of-towners seem to notice first when visiting. Number two, we don't offer a lot of public transportation. We do have a city bus that will go by specific stops once an hour, and you can catch a train from Simi Valley's train station. We also do have some good on-call transportation for seniors, but other than that, you'll be left to using Uber or Lyft. So if you're coming from a big city, that might be something that you'll have to plan around. Number three, the weather. And yes, I will also address the weather and the pros, but being in Southern California, we often find ourselves in a drought. Currently, at the time of this recording, we're in such an extreme drought that if you live in Simi Valley, you're limited to watering your lawn only once per week. So if you're considering moving here, you might want to plan to invest in some drought-resistant landscaping or some artificial grass. This is where that smaller lot size comes in handy. Also, in regard to weather, we don't have four seasons, and you might see snow once every 5 to 10 years. But you can always drive 2 to 3 hours for a fun day or a fun weekend in the snow. Just know you're not going to see much in Simi. Oh, and one last thing in regard to weather, we do occasionally get hit by the Santa Ana winds. So every now and then you'll see a few trees blown over, but for the most part, the winds just mess up your hair and leave us with crystal blue skies after they're gone. Number four, you'll probably have to travel to work. That is, if you're working for a company that actually makes you go into the office. Simi Valley's been known to be kind of a quiet bedroom community. So we have a lot of nice small neighborhoods, but not a lot of big business. Not to say it's non-existent. Amazon just opened a hub here. But currently, I think one of the largest employers in Simi Valley is the Simi Valley Unified School District. So yes, most people that live in Simi Valley work elsewhere, but most don't commute more than 20 to 30 minutes to their offices. Lastly, if you're looking for a big nightlife scene, you're not going to find it here. We have a few bars that us locals enjoy, but you won't be planning a fun bar crawl here in Simi Valley. We don't have a casino, no wineries, no comedy stores. As I mentioned before, we're kind of a bedroom community. In fact, if you're out driving after 11 p.m., you're going to be one of just a few, especially if you're out after 11 on a weekday. Okay, so now for the pros. Number one, as I mentioned, we are a quiet little community, which is something most people that live here appreciate. But that being said, we're less than an hour from downtown LA and all the music venues and museums that live there. Less than an hour from some of the popular Southern California beaches, Santa Monica, Malibu, Zuma, and less than an hour from an international airport. So if you want to go visit the art district in downtown LA or see your favorite singer in concert, you can do that and spend an evening in all the craziness, but still get back to your nice, quiet, peaceful home that same night. Number two, if you love outdoor activities, I think you'll be very happy here. Since we are in a valley, we're surrounded by mountains. So if you enjoy hiking, we have 65 miles of hiking and biking trails. In addition to the nature-made outdoor activities, we have 49 parks, 22 tennis courts, 10 pickleball courts, and actually now that pickleball is growing in popularity, I believe a lot of our tennis courts are now convertible to pickleball courts. We have 4 golf courses, disc golf, an outdoor skate plaza, and 2 dog parks. Number three, you'll get to know the people in your community. Now again, that may be a con for some people, so if it's a con for you, maybe Simi Valley isn't your city. Although our current population is over 125,000, which is larger than the population of some states' capitals, you'll still run into your mom's bunko friend at the grocery store. Personally, I feel I'm less than 6 degrees of separation from anyone in Simi Valley. Now, I've lived here for more than 50 years. I went to school here, my kids went to school here, and we're involved in a lot of activities. So our sphere is relatively large. But I found that even the new Simi Valley transplants have very similar experiences. And speaking of neighbors, just know we've been known as a good place for police officers, sheriff deputies, and firemen to live. Again, because we are such a short commute for them to whichever major city they might be working out of, and our housing prices are lower than most major cities. Which brings me to number 4. In comparison to our neighboring Southern California cities, you can get more for your money in Simi Valley. According to Best Places, currently the cost of living in Simi Valley, California is about 16% less than Los Angeles, with home prices about 19% less than LA. And the cost of living in Simi is about 43% less than the cost of living in Santa Barbara, and our median home price is 89% less than that of Santa Barbara. So although we can take a pretty drive out to Santa Barbara for a day of paddleboarding or biking, or maybe just to pick up our favorite acai bowl, we get to count our extra dollars on the drive home. Okay, and number 5 is our weather. Although we're not on the coast, we do have a nice average temperature that is, again, better than most of our neighboring cities. Our cool season is from November to March with an average high temperature of 68 degrees. Our hot months are considered to be June to September with a daily average high temperature of 82 degrees. Although it does get warm in the summer, we can sometimes be almost 10 degrees cooler than our neighboring valley cities. So, like I mentioned in the cons, you won't actually see 4 distinct seasons. Our fall might be a little warmer than other places, but you will see our pretty trees change colors, just maybe not the palm trees. And you won't have to be out with the snowblower moving mounds and mounds of leaves around. So, those are my top 5 pros and cons. As I mentioned earlier, I can go on and on about Simi Valley and why it's such a great place to live. So, it's hard to stop at just 5. I could probably do an entire video on our great school system or the safety of our city, and maybe I will. But for now, just know it is a wonderful place to live, and I'm more than happy to send you information or answer any questions you might have. And if you're thinking of moving, you can find my free relocation guide below. And if Simi Valley is not the place for you, as I mentioned, I know some great realtors and community leaders throughout the country that are happy to share with you everything their cities have to offer. Thank you for taking the time to learn more about my wonderful little city. I'm Kim Cross, your Crosstown Realtor, and I know that crosstown or cross country, every move matters.